lies. Here we go. Ya lai, ya la 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 la, ya ma to. Ya lai, ya la 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 la, ya ma na yi. Ya lai, ya la 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 la, Shabbat Aviv. Ya ya la 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 la, Kahom
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Boy, it feels so good to say that, doesn't it? Kiester, don't you think? It's so good just to say Shabbat Shalom without
We've
anything
been
else.
through a lot lately.
I was thinking about all the most joyous Shabbats of the whole year. Of course, we have Sukkot coming up. Next Shabbat will be Sukkot. You can see our sukkah is kind of in preparation to be built, I believe, Sunday morning. We will be having Simchat Torah as well. There is, in the future, there's Hanukkah we'll have, Shabbat Shirah, Passover, all these ones throughout the year.
Don't rush it, don't rush it.
But the most important Shabbat, the most joyous Shabbat, at least for rabbis and cantors, is the one right after Yom Kippur. This one, yeah.
This one.
And you came to it, so thank you. We have a special guest, musician Nick, so say hello to Nick. And we're really looking forward to hearing. And of course, Mike is here in the back. Let's invite Bruce Corris over to give the announcements.
The welcome.
Almost had it right.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's nice to have a nice group like this tonight on, as Rabbi mentioned, the first Erev Shabbat after the high holidays, or as we like to call it, whew, we're through it.
That's what we call it?
We still have a couple more high holiday services coming up, but of course we've gone through the big ones. And I was thinking about something as we gathered together and had such a nice big crowd for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Very often on a Friday night, the cantor will lead us to begin the service with Hinei Matov. And we sing how good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it was, and how sweet it was to be together like we were on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur as we took that giant step back toward normalcy. It just felt so right. And obviously, as we continue to move forward, we're going to continue to do as many things as we can. Obviously, continuing to think of everyone's safety and health, but at the same time, thinking of your needs. And we have many of them, and the temple is always going to be here to meet them. So it's good to have so many of you here tonight. Hi to those of you that are at home watching us that didn't want to bundle back up and put that jacket on and come back out. So I'll be back later with the actual announcements. We actually have a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. Even though, we're just through the busy time, we're still busy. And it's all good stuff coming up. So Shabbat Shalom. And I got that right. Not once did I say Lashana Tova. See, I was very good. And I made it through the high holidays pretty good without screwing up too. So it's good to see you all. I'll be back a little bit later and enjoy the cantor and the rabbi and Mike and Nick have prepared a wonderful service for you tonight.
Now, Bruce, show them your kippah. You match perfectly. He has a red and black kippah and red and black.
That's what the well-dressed Jewish man will do.
Let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. We're going to breathe in everything we want to hold on to from this past week, and we can breathe out everything we want to get let go of. May this be a Shabbat of peace and rest. We're going to turn on page 128 to Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. From the top. Maya Hayom.
turn to page 124, and we'll read responsibly at the bottom. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block for young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. The synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We turn to page 120 for our candle lighting. And if it's okay, our wonderful healing service leaders, can I invite Linda and Adrian over? What I saw, we had our healing service for Yom Kippur, which they've done several times together. I saw such a wonderful friendship there. And that's really what makes it special, not just the service, but just seeing the two of you kind of support one another. And also how wonderful to hear Cantor Whaley's voice. It was magical, really, to have that. We have some better matches. There's some better ones below. Yeah, they're kind of fancy. And Linda, give me these back here. I'm going to light our. We haven't done this. Let's light this. I think we just got out of the practice of it. Most things are like that. Yeah. Just into the microphone if that's fine. We want to lift up the Kiddush cup on page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, קידשנו במצוותיו ועשה בנו שבת קודשו באהבה וחצור הגדילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית
Yom
תהילה
Mikre Kodesh Zecher L'Tzion Mitzrayim Kivanu
ובחרת אותנו קידשת קודם שבת קודשך קדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim. A good vintage. All right, I have a question. I'm supposing maybe Harvey will know this answer. Look at all these candles, okay? Some of them glow taller than others. Look at the ones in front over here. One glows straight up, and one is small. And the one that's the shamash, the taller one over there, it's much higher. What is the reason why some lights are? I guess it's the way the wax probably is.
It's actually the length of the wick.
The length of the wick. Okay, Rich knew. Yeah, it makes it so interesting. I mean, look at the two candles. They are almost the same height, but they burn so differently than the one from the other. It's sort of like people, I guess, right? Let's turn and welcome the Shabbat officially with Lecha Dodi on page 138. Tonight, we're lighting our menorah over here. We close the back. We're kind of getting back to more normal services. What we do here, we're going to do the first and the ninth verse. On the ninth verse, we rise, we face our doorway over here, we bow symbolically to Shabbat as it enters into the room, and we welcome each other by waving at one another.
There you go. Lecha dodi lika kala yalala 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 beneshama nekabela. Lecha dodi lika kala yalala 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 beneshama nekabela. Shamo v'sachor dipor echad Ishlianu elam echad Adonai echad Shmo echad Yishem u'tiferet l'tehila Lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Bo'ii v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'v'sohola Tokemune amasekula Oikala Oikala Lecha dodi lika kala yadala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi lika kala yadala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela. One more time, here we go, everybody. Lecha dodi lika kala yadala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi lika kala yadala 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
It always feels like we remain standing for our call to prayer, which is on 146. It always feels
Now I
like a
have
different room once we come together and we wave at each other. Suddenly we're together.
Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. La la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la
148, and we'll read the words in Hebrew. There is a transliteration on the left side. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro mariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sharim, utuna meshane itim, umachlif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem berkia kirtzono. Borea yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshek, v'choshek mipnei or, umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uben layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimlocha leinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. Page 150, Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, שוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי חיר חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגן יום ולילה. באהבתך התשים ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
152.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. 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 ברוך שם כבוד ומלכותו לעולם ועד. ברוך שם כבוד ומלכותו לעולם ועד. Everyone. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
You may be seated. We turn to page 154 for the Aviahafta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווה לך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לעוד ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשברך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Be'eretz Mitzrayim, V'yot Lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Let's read together in English on 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. Page 158, Mi Chamocha. The standing prayer, which begins on page 164 and will continue through 180. Take an opportunity for your own thoughts, prayers, reflections in Hebrew, English, in the prayer book, or just in your heart. And whenever you're ready, you may be seated. going to be singing Petach Libi Yehi L'Ratzon. Is it on 180?
Yeah, it's on page 180. So when we look at the top paragraph, if we look down, 4 lines down on page 180, we see Petach libi b'toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot. So we sing some of that Hebrew in that paragraph. Then we drop down 1, 2, 3 more lines, and we do some more of the Hebrew on this page. Then we drop down to the center paragraph where it says, Yiyu l'ratzon imrei fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. So this is a beautiful new setting by Noam Katz, a very prolific Jewish songwriter. And he uses, creatively, he uses the beautiful sentiments on this page. And I think he puts together a beautiful composition that expresses those words and those sentiments. It has some oohs in it. You can sing along with me, or you can follow along in the Hebrew and sing along. You'll see that there's recurring anthems to it. It's quite singable. Try with me.
a question for you.
Yes.
Since you come and you introduce a lot of music to us, where do you find your music? How do you find these melodies that are, I guess they're traveling around the Jewish world?
Well, I had purchased a whole anthology of music. I don't know if you call it an anthology. Yeah, you call it an anthology of music, of his music, at a convention. And then I was watching something on Facebook through the Cantors Network. Actually, they call that going down the rabbit hole. I was watching something else, which led into something
They call
else.
it YouTube.
Which
That's what they call it.
which went into, yeah, I was looking for the Amen Shem Noras that, all different versions that we sang, right, on Yom Kippur. That led to this, someone singing this. And I said, wow, this is beautiful. And I checked the book, and it was in the book. And then I said, wow, we have to use this with the choir and everything. Such a beautiful piece.
Yeah, it's so important when Cantor goes out because there's these musical that travels around the globe at this point. It's quite incredible. They had the experience that I know Liz also spoke about in Reflections about going to a Shabbat service in Prague, I think.
Unbelievable.
And having the same melodies. And that wouldn't have happened before the internet. There would have been some similar, but not the level
Maybe one
that
or
we
two
have.
that traveled around.
Yeah.
It was eerie, right?
But music, it's sort of like, it's amazing how it used to be if you were part of a denomination, like we're part of Reform and Reconstructions, it's the prayer books when you walk in. Those are the familiar things. And the melodies often would be different depending on the place. But a lot of these melodies, they're traveling a lot. They travel in camps. A lot, you know where melodies used to come from also? When people would go to visit Israel, there was a number of places like Kol HaNeshama that a lot of the melodies, because people would be there, oh, I love that melody, and then they bring it back.
Well, that was our Lecha Dodi. That
Yeah.
was from the Jerusalem temple.
All right, we're going to turn
Tonight.
to our healing prayers right
Oh.
now, 371. And as so often is the case, it's a very small world here in Buffalo. Forgive me, I need to get out my notes here. You might have heard there was a terrible triple murder that was in Clarence, and I don't, probably like you, I heard about it, and I was very sad that such a thing would happen here. But I didn't really think more. And then, of course, as often is the case, I can't even tell you how often, someone is connected to the family. So Sheila Bernard Tucker, her daughter Laura, is Laura Tucker. The son, Braden, is best friends with the boy of that age. That boy survived, but he's now alone. And she asked us to say special prayers for him. They also, his name is Eli Burgum. So please keep him in your thoughts. She also did pass on some information. They belong to Eastern Hills Church, and there is a donation page for that family, for this little boy. So please keep them in your prayers. There's 4 children still alive then? Okay, yeah. Oh, it's just a terrible tragedy. It just also reveals we are so connected to one another. It's unbelievable. I'm going to read our list of names, and then we'll go around. If you have names, just feel free to offer them. Rachel Anderson, Eli Bergen, Mark Clay, Gary Bernstein, Stephen Bernstein, Joseph Dash, Drew Demovitz, Gary Filipponi, Sue Frank, Antonio Franzen, Lester Frank, Leslie Garfinkel, Marlene Glickman, Sharon Gray, Irene Green, Dennis Halpin, Paula Jones, Bharat Kelly, Mark Nightinger, Joe Malucci, Patricia Newton, Jill Shire Monahan, Ann Oppenheim, Cheryl Rossi, Brandon Ryan, Joyce Seitz, Carol Silverman, William Scretney, Nicholas Warren Tepper, Adam Tinlin, Kristen Walker, Anita Wiesel, Mike Wheeler, Christine Zalowiski, Aviva Bat Shoshana, and Chana Ezra Ben Shul. And if you have other names you'd like. We'll take all those names into our heart as we sing the Misha Berach.
Mishem Berach Avotenu Mikol HaBracha Eimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishem Berach Imotenu Mikol HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A complete healing of body and soul. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So there was a really magical moment that happened. I was talking to Bruce about it during High Holidays, during our Yizkor service. We tried a new ritual. I think Cantor and I and Joanne, we were discussing a number of months ago our Yizkor service and our rituals, and we decided on a new ritual. Before we had used candles, and we felt they were a little complicated, and so we decided we would use a bowl and some stones, and Joanne was nice enough to get that for us. And we started a new ritual where I would read the names a little bit slower and people would come up. As so often when we do something new, it takes a little while for people to figure out how to do it and to feel comfortable. It's always a little intimidating to come up, even to do a ritual like put a stone on, you're coming in front of the congregation. But as we were reading, the people were coming, so one by one, as different names that were important. I think Linda was actually our first one as we read about your mom. Mother-in-law, sorry, yeah. When we read about her and you put the stone in, and then one by one people started coming. Then we got to Paul Staley's name. And there was a heaviness that had been through our community throughout. Obviously, we had dedicated our High Holidays to him. We have a wonderful plaque, if you haven't had a chance to see, that's in the back. And he's been so important for 2 decades. So it's really a heavy loss for us. But as we got to his name, something happened. I think it was completely impromptu. Millie and the other choir members, and Millie is is the widow for 45 years together. So they looked at one another and tried to decide what to do. And then they made a decision kind of on the spot with very little conversation. They all came down and they all put the stone. And you might have noticed I was having trouble reading the names after that. But it was this moment where you can see a ritual happening with meaning. Sometimes we think about Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah or any holiday as being one event. It's one day. this where everything fits together, from Kol Nidre to Ne'ilah. That is one experience. But of course, it really isn't. It's thousands of experiences. Being up here, I have the privilege, we have the privilege of looking out, and we can see how you're experiencing, just like you see how we're experiencing it. And we can also notice, having planned the services, kind of where different rituals are occurring. For example, people sitting with their families. I love that on the High Holy Days, people will come from all over the country and world just to be together. It feels very, not because of me or Cantor, they're really there for each other. And it's really important. And that, in a way, is a sort of ritual, because people are doing it year in, year out with the same people, the same groups. It's one of the reasons why we have memorial prayers on the holidays, because we're so used to being together, and our holidays aren't the same after our loved ones are gone. There are many other things. We had another new ritual, actually, we tried out on Rosh Hashanah. We have been debating. Cantor wisely was saying, we really shouldn't be throwing bread in the water. It's not good for the animals in the water. The custom for tashlik, which is you throw your sins out. And people take little pieces of bread and throw it in. And maybe a little bit, it's okay, but once all that bread is kind of floating, it's not a great idea for the environment. So this year we purchased some stones, and again we were going to throw them into the Ellicott Creek, as we always did. But of course it was pouring rain, so we weren't going up there. So we created a new ritual in the middle of the hallway there, and it was not the same as the old ritual, but it was beautiful. There is really all these kind of moments. I was thinking about a couple of other things that really mattered to me during the holidays, and then I thought maybe turn to one another, think, and if you have one, turn to the person next to you and you can share it. So the ones that I thought about for this year in specific, coming in on Rosh Hashanah, knowing, Cantor, getting the choir there together. When the choir was all standing, the lay and the professional choir, that was amazing, because it had been 2 years since we had done, 3 years since we had done that. For the choir, they had been out of practice for a couple of years. For all of us, we weren't used to having that kind of sound in our service. It was a moment of feeling like we were returning. A couple of moments, Harvey was reading from the Torah, and we invited up the Zlotnick Petrus family. And David Zlotnick had worked on Harvey, and it was this really, that one was a little more orchestrated, but this wonderful sense of how we are a community together. During how many of you were there for reflections? It was really beautiful this year. Nancy McGorry, who's in our office and doesn't always have a chance to, she's a very thoughtful person, but we don't always have a chance to hear from her directly. She spoke about her experience, especially I didn't know. She said as soon as she walked in the building, she knew this was the place for her, which was really quite something. But one of the things, Liz Staley was the other, and Liz had been our travel agent, but also the celloist in past. She was asked about singing in the choir. What is it like as someone who isn't Jewish to sing there? And she was describing her mom, Millie, and saying how that even though she doesn't know the words, the fact that we know the words matter. And that also that sense that music doesn't necessarily require us to understand it. I love that sentiment. So if you want to take a moment now, if you're with us, if you're somewhere else, that's fine too. Think about a moment from our holidays, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, that you're taking with you and that you want to share. All right, so if you want to share any of your stories, feel free to. I know it's a little intimidating to talk in front of everyone, but if anyone wants to share, yeah.
When it was during reflections with Nancy and that lady in the back whose son passed away, her and Nancy
Right.
sharing her love of the St. Louis Cardinals, which allowed them to both grieve for her son. That was really
Yeah, there's a woman, Lori Duvall, who lost her son, Eric Duvall, who was a reporter. It was very sad. He had like a heart attack and was found like a day later. It just real nice guy, as she said, a little curmudgeon-y, but um, they both, Nancy and Lori, connected over the St. Louis Cardinals. And they had this moment where Nancy had made sure Lori could finally come to services. She hadn't come in many, many years. It was a very beautiful moment. Thank you for mentioning that one. Any other ones? Yeah, Rich.
I really miss the ritual of donning the tali together. That I wish we did that and that we did it more consistently so we do than if we were gonna or not. I would prefer to do it. Do that all the Rabbi Herzog really went out of his way to do that consistently.
So, Rich, I'll reflect to the microphone. Rich was mentioning one of his favorite rituals from his high holiday experience is putting the entire community putting the talis on together. We are a product of two separate traditions. And so what you'll see, he said, we're a little uneven with it. That's the reason, because we have to represent, in a way, these two traditions. But Yom Kippur, I really liked on Kol Nidre. We all did that together. And maybe what we should do is maybe announce it a little more clearly as people are coming in. So, yeah. Any other things you wanted to share? Yeah, Karen.
I thought it was very special for us to coincidentally sit with many of our traveling companions from the cruise in April, I mean in August, because for us, kind of new members who joined right before COVID, we really don't know a lot of people, and it felt like, we felt like part of a community within the community that we've made some nice friends, and it was so heartwarming for us to be able to sit with so many of them.
So again, I'm just going to reflect back for the people joining us on the stream, or if you can't hear. But Karen was saying how nice she had gone on the cruise in August, and how nice that the cruise members were all sitting together. And because they were new to Shir Shalom, it felt like she had a friendship group. It was really special for me to see that too. I noticed that right away, and especially when Liz Staley, who had organized the trip, was able to address the group in reflections as well. Yeah, Harvey.
I don't know if it was accidental or intentional, but when you and Cantor Frank walked in together at the beginning of Kol Nidre,
Oh, we
it
tried.
brought back many memories. It's a custom that rabbis and cantors used to do in the past in our congregation that grew over the years.
Yeah, so Harvey was saying about how the procession of the rabbi and cantor together. We did try it on Yom Kippur. Unfortunately, we didn't really have a great aisle, so we stopped it after that.
The chairs were packed in. It was like
Yeah.
usually there's at least an aisle, so we have to be mindful of that. Yeah, I really do enjoy that. I used to be, at the old place that I worked, I would sing from the back and sing my way in, and part of the problem was I couldn't hear the organ back there. So by the time I got to the center front area, I would find out whether or not we were in the same key. Yeah.
Did you have any other favorite from the holidays? I know it must be just exhausting.
Well, there was a few moments at Ne'ilah when we were doing some pieces that we had, the whole group collectively, had worked on. The El Nora Alila, which is part of Ne'ilah, and everyone's voices were in force, and we were a very cohesive unit. And we did struggle with that one a lot, and when we were all together singing that really very well, and very cohesive. That really felt like a moment. And then when we went to do the final, the Shema and Echad and Adonai and the final. What do you call that? The final.
It's when we were
The
doing
final
the Shema
declaration,
lines
the Shema, and then the
three
Baruch
times seven.
Shem, and Adonai Hu Elohim, all these declarations, and we were doing a very complicated setting that went from 3/4 to 4/4 to 3/4 to 4/4 to 4/4 to 3/4, and we were all in the zone together, and everyone was feeling it, and I felt like the sound was powerful, and it really meant a lot. It really did mean a lot to be able to perform this all together. We had our singers here, and we had our almost octet together, and we had Ken here who was subbing for Paul, and it was a real moment for me.
Yeah, it's amazing how the group comes together. It's like a team. By the way, I had this metaphor for Cantor. I was thinking, they always talk about Josh Allen, that he throws to, like 11 receivers. I was thinking, that kind of fits Cantor. She's had like 11 musicians, right? Hold on, we had a couple of, Joanne in the back, and then we'll go to Liz. Yeah, the Havdalah at the end. Yeah, Liz, did you?
Well, I was just remembering last year and the drive-in theater, and this was so much better.
Yeah,
In our home again.
so true. It felt so good. Yeah, Adrian.
Picking up on what Cantor said, I really enjoy rehearsing with the professional choir. I think it makes such a difference when you're with them. And I also loved the different combinations, like was it a quintet or quartet in the front?
Right.
And then when you had the duet with, is her name Lori?
Julie.
Julie, I'm sorry, Julie. That was beautiful. And also the tall gentleman who sang by himself.
That's Michael.
Mike Harris.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah.
I just like having the different combinations because the variety is just nice. And different types of voices.
Adrian was mentioning all the different types of voices. I forgot Liz in the back was talking about how special it is to be back together. But Adrian was saying all the different combinations. I loved watching the cello and our young friend Andy Shaw and Jacob, well, especially Andy. He was just looking at that cello. He wanted to be in the front row for that one. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mind sharing on Mark Jones. Mark has 20 years back in the 70s. I left town, Air Force, came back to the congregation Temple Simon, both my sons and uncles were there. And I feel very happy to be back recently with sharing with them my experience with Yom Kippur. I couldn't be here, and I'm very sad that I wasn't, but it was a meaningful day for me because I had to work, and probably wasn't the best day of fast, but I did. And I, for the record, I wanted to give instructions to a new pilot, and he flew pretty much the whole day. The last night with mine, it wasn't the best. She made a note to self, fasting on Yom Kippur and working, probably not the best.
I think I'll leave that off the record here. Yeah. Yeah. Carol, yeah. Oh, sorry.
A new ritual that Karen and I did this year, and I would encourage other people to do it next year, is on Sunday, we did a reverse tashlich
Mm-hmm.
at Unity Island, where we went with a bunch of people from the Jewish community and picked up trash or other people's sins all around the island.
Yeah, Howard's mentioning a reverse tashlich. Next year, I think maybe we'll not plan religious school. We'll try to coordinate it a little better because it's a national program. Yeah. Carol, did you want to? Yeah.
For the holidays, I like to sit here and listen to prayers and the tunes and think that all Jews around the world, no matter where they are saying the same thing in similar tunes or close to it at the same time. And I just get that feeling that we're part of the world.
Especially Carol was saying about all the different tunes around the country, the world. That when we're doing it simultaneously, there's that sense that, especially when you went to Europe and you really had that kind of experience. It was funny. I My daughter isn't as used to the older melodies like Avinu, even those things that I grew up with certainly. So I was saying, these are really popular melodies. They were popular, but she's a new generation. So it's our Shabbat for poetry. So I did bring a couple of my favorites. So just read. This is where we read in Hezinu from Moses' last poem. My favorite authors, Mary Oliver and Yehuda Amichai. I thought I'd read a couple of poems just to have a sense of poetry on this day. Some questions, this is Mary Oliver, some questions you might ask. Is the soul solid like iron, or is it tender and breakable like the wings of a moth in the beak of an owl? Who has it and who doesn't? I keep looking around me. The face of the moose is as sad as the face of Jesus. The swan opens her white wings slowly. In the fall, the black bear carries leaves into the darkness. One question leaps to another. Does it have a shape like an iceberg, like the eye of a hummingbird? Does it have one lung like the snake or the scallop? Why should I have it and not the anteater who loves her children? Why should I have it and not the camel? Come to think of it, what about the maple trees? What about the blue iris? What about the little stones sitting alone in the moonlight? What about roses and lemons and their shining leaves? What about grass? It's a wonderful poem. And then my favorite, Yehuda Amichai, the place where we are right. I think we've all been there. From the place where we are right, flowers will never grow in the spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard. But doubts and love dig up the world like a mole, a plow, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood. So thank you everyone for your reflections. We're going to move to the end of the service now. And I do believe we're ready for Elena, let's see. Yes, Elena, page 586. I invite you to rise. I'm going to open the ark.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We're going to turn to the mourner's Kaddish. We already mentioned that family in Clarence, and also, as Erev pointed out, the people who died in the hurricane as well, Hurricane Ian. We are also remembering in our community Ruth Hellman and Nancy Schiller, who died in the last month. On our yard site list from years past, we remember Nat Bagel, Robert Barker, Leah Burke, Philip Blatt, Jeffrey Caprow, Symphony Cohen, Edward Cohen, Richard Cohen, Mary Lou Davis, George Engel, Mildred Engel, Ralph Epstein, Regina Faden, Catherine Falk, Alfreda Feldstein, William Finkelstein, Molly Foreman, Zeta Fraden, Marshall Levy Glickman, Zelda B. Goldenberg, Abe Gottlieb, Rita Gross, Fred Gross, Jane Sela Heskins, Estelle Himmelstein, Edward Hyman, Mary Eisenberg, Ann Katz, Fega M. Kolnick, Harriet Shustek-Korn, Eva Lashaw, David Levy, Sheila Makoff, Herman Rosenthal, Simon Rubin, Ellie Ruckenstein, Macy Savatsky, Chuck Shepard, Edward M. Schulman, Norman Schulman, Abraham Julius Silver, Joseph Simon, Saul Sloan, Joseph Stolberg, Frank Trippi, and Sylvia Weinstein. If you have other names you'd like to mention? Yeah.
Richard Article.
My grandmother, Sue Bernstein.
Lee Mensch.
We turn to page 598, and all whose custom it is to rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divrach irite v'yamlik malchute, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'yizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olmeo maya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemeda kudasha, brechu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata, tush berchata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'yimaru, amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimar amen. O says shalom v'yimramav, huya says shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol yoshvei tevel, v'yimar amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. Zikronam livracha. May their memories always be for a blessing. And now, I'm going to invite Briz Chorus up for the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you to Steve and Hillary Hurwitz for helping out as our service greeters this evening. Thank you to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, Mike Frank, and Nick Stelzer, the newest member of our Shabbat crew. It's funny how Nick came about. I don't know if you heard this. He came to Temple today. He said, "Is there a Shabbatas?" And Cantor answered the door, and she said, "No, it's not till next week, but can you play the piano?" And son of a gun, a new member of our Friday night crew.
When is Shabbatas, by the way?
We do have Shabbatas next Tuesday
I'm just
from 4 to 7 or till sold out, so please make sure to make your reservation. And thank you to everyone who helps out with that, whether you support it or volunteer. I see a lot of our Shabbatas crew here, French Fry Frank sitting up here in the front, and it's such an important fundraiser for us, so thank you for your help on that. Tomorrow morning we have Torah study at 9, Shabbat morning service, and virtual Kiddush luncheon. Both are via Zoom. Go to the website for the links. The high holidays are actually not over, even though we've been through Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We still have Sukkot. We still have Simchat Torah. The listings are all in the Chai Notes. We have extra copies outside the office if you still need it. Speaking of Sukkot, the men's group will be here Sunday morning to build our sukkah. You saw it all laid out in there. If anyone would like to help out, no experience necessary. No mechanical aptitude necessary, which in this crowd is a good thing. Please feel free to help out if you can. Just be ready to schlep and listen to Dan, and that's all you need to be ready to do. We have a very big event coming up a week from tomorrow. That's the 15th annual Walk Off Hunger. An email went out with the link on how to sign up, and we've had the flyer out in the lobby as well. As you know, since we started that event in 2008, we have raised we're closing in on $1 million that event has raised to provide food for hungry Western New Yorkers. A lot of that money raised by our own Jenny Pohl, the all-time leading fundraiser for the walk. This is our first walk without her, and Feedmore is planning to honor her at the walk. So if you haven't signed up yet, please do so. It's at a new location, which is Buffalo Riverfest Park down on Ohio Street. Plenty of parking right across the street, but if you guys want to think about maybe carpooling to get down there, give me a holler and I'll see who's going to be signed up, and maybe I can put you guys together. Any other events that are coming up, they're listed in the service leaflet. Please take it home, pin it on your wall, tape it to your refrigerator. If you have a nice refrigerator magnet, maybe that one of you brought back from the Danube cruise, you can use that to hold it there. But pay attention to all the stuff that is coming up. We have lots coming up, and we will continue to do so. We don't need to talk about Hanukkah yet. Did you hear the cantor say, "Oh, please, don't rush me on that"? She's got a lot of work to do on that one, too. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Todd, Joanne, or myself. We are here for you. Help yourself to the onig as you leave. Joanne was very busy again baking cookies and individually wrapping them, so they're all safe and ready for you. Again, Shabbat Shalom. And I can still say Lashana Tova because we're still in the high holidays. And it's just so nice to be together with our temple family on Friday nights. Shabbat Shalom.
I just wanted to mention that there is a concert tomorrow night at Kenmore Presbyterian Church. They have sold the building, and they've got this very unique Shikle organ from the 1920s that has been in place and cared for by Paul. And they have to demolish it for the most part. It's way, way too expensive to be able to move an organ like that. They're usually created for the space, for the specific space, and the new tenants do not need an organ. So they're having a beautiful concert, and Paul would have been at this. His partner, Dave Bond, will be there tomorrow night. Kenmore Presbyterian Church, 2771 Delaware Avenue in Kenmore.
Is it Delaware Avenue or Delaware Road?
Delaware Avenue, it says on the thing. But if you put in Kenmore Presbyterian Church, and it's called Before These Pipes Go Silent. So it's 100 years of caring for this instrument, and that's just kind of like how it goes. So they're grieving, but also, that community is grieving, but they're also very excited about their move to a new building and, the future ahead. But I do have some of these, and I have some, I will be going tomorrow night, and I will be taking a crew of people. So if you want to come with us, anybody wants to join us, I will be there. Just look for me. I have some flyers. And there are people from this church that's in our octet here that also will be there. And I think it's a beautiful thing for the community to be able to get together before these pipes go silent.
Sounds really beautiful. Let's turn to page 625 for Adon Olam.
Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem kol yitzir nivra, li'ed nasa, eketzo kol, azai melech, shemo nivra, azai melech, shemo nivra,
is for Robin for her birthday this past week. Oh, I already did? Oh. Anyone else have a birthday this week? I couldn't remember. All right, is it Chuck's birthday? No. Oh, okay, well, you got it, okay. Sorry, with the mask. It's going after the birthday boy over there. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return your prayer book minus the leaflet to the front of the sanctuary. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.